What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, March 16th. LA Galaxy getting ready for their home opener against the Vancouver Whitecaps, coming up on Saturday night at Dignity Health Sports Park. We're going to get you ready for that game. A lot to talk about before we do, though. Lucas Caligari in camp. We'll talk a little bit about his arrival and what that means for the LA Galaxy, hear what Greg Vandy sort of had to say about him. And then, of course, we're going to get you ready for LA Galaxy 2, which, of course, released the schedule. We're going to get you ready for any of the kickoff features leading up to the game. And then there's another rumor. This time, wait for it. Everybody take a deep breath. It's a winger rumor. Oh, my God. Say it's not so. Alert, alert. Everybody get ready. Here it comes. There's a winger rumor. We're going to talk about that all on the way to one of the most interesting games of the season for sure. LA Galaxy, Vancouver Whitecaps coming up here in just a little bit. To help me do all that, we're glad to have her. It's Miss Sophie, the Cannon Nicolaou. Soph, how are you doing?
I'm not going to lie, so I'll tell the truth. I'm a little salty this evening.
Yeah, a little Arsenal salty in your taste in your mouth. Is that it, or
more
is it something
Kim
else?
Kardashian salty
Okay.
than Arsenal salty.
All right.
I would have preferred she were removed from the stadium once it went into extra time, but I'm hoping that she won't ever be allowed ever again.
I don't even want to know. You and I will have to talk about that another time. I would love to know what Kim Kardashian was doing at an Arsenal game. I don't want to know, but I'm going to have to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you, Josh? How you doing, mate? Everything good?
It's Thursday. So, like, my weekends sort of start on Thursday nights because, yes, I have to go to work on Friday, but I always feel like this renewed energy whenever you're right there on the doorstep of the weekend.
Sure.
Always feel a renewed energy anytime you're close to getting to go watch live soccer. I enjoyed that a whole bunch. So, I'm excited about that part. I know it's going to be a ridiculously busy weekend. It looks like the rain's going to hold off. It looks like everything's going to be really nice. So, I'm excited about that. But yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 3-year-old running around. He's constantly testing every patient and every nerve that I have. In fact, if he runs through here like naked in the next 10 minutes, I would not be surprised. It would absolutely have to happen.
That would be the clip of the show. Highlight reel moment. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Well, I'm happy it's Friday Junior personally. I'm looking forward to a little bit of live action. And can't wait to get back to the old stadium for a little bit of football.
Can I tell you what else I'm excited for?
Dr. Pepper.
No, I didn't. I already had my one for dinner, so I'm just drinking water. Everybody always guesses what's in this. They say vodka. Could be. Don't know. Maybe
he would never get to the 5th minute of the show, let alone.
Maybe I get a little smoother as this goes along. I don't know. It could be.
Guy, though. You're more whiskey than.
I like bourbon. I'm a bourbon. I can drink bourbon.
You.
I would like to point out that my alcohol consumption since I had a kid has almost gone to zero. So you know how like whenever you go to the doctor and they're like, how many drinks per week would you have? And I'm like, okay, so I have about 2 beers per month. All right. So let's divide that into, how many days and all that stuff is like, oh, okay. So, I have 0.2 beers per week. That's about where I'm at right now. So,
wow.
But no, I'm excited because coming up in about 25 minutes, we're going to be joined by the one and only Joe Tutino. The legend himself. Amazing. So we're going to talk to Joe. He's going to help us get ready for Vancouver, and we're going to talk to him about some other LA Galaxy things as well. So can't wait to have Joe call in and get him on this show very soon. I already got a text message from Larry Morgan
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels a little early to already get texted by Larry. We've only been doing the show for, a couple minutes here. I don't know.
He's been texting me all day, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. There we go. It was a Deborah Winger joke. Whenever I made the winger, hold your breath, it's a winger. He's like, I hope it's not Deborah Winger. Oh, dang. Larry, don't you miss him? Don't you miss those little things? I do. I do.
But I get to hear about his new air conditioner and...
I did hear about that as well. Yes,
yeah, it's
absolutely.
very exciting stuff.
That's good. So anyway, we will have Joe Tutino coming on in just a little bit, so that's fun as well.
I love Joe, by the way.
Oh,
as a Brit, I understand the treasure that he is to the Galaxy Nation.
Can I say this, and without him being on the show, and hopefully he's not listening, so that way, I would, it's something I would say to him, but it's not, it's different, right? It's a different level. The man takes so much time out of his daily schedule to do things for reporters, for other employees who work at the Galaxy. I can't tell you how many times Joe has sort of just said, "Hey, Josh, when you're asking a question, try this." And you have to understand, Joe's radio producer extraordinaire. I mean, Jim Rome was Joe Tutino. And he was there for that entire rise of Jim Rome as shock jock, sports extraordinaire. That started with Joe down in San Diego. And the thing, Joe knows how to coach people to ask questions. And he has helped me so many times. And it's crazy because if it came from somebody else, Sophie, it might be like, hey, how about you mind your own business? Right? When it comes to Joe, you're honored to have had the interaction.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have too, a couple of occasions. And they meant the world to me because, as I feel like an insider now, but for a long time I was an outsider looking in, and the LA Galaxy was the team, right? Even as someone who came from England and I started covering the game here, they are and have been the Manchester United and Liverpool and Arsenal of the league. And so to have someone like him give me tips and advice and kind of take the care and the time. It's really meant a lot to me, and I felt very accepted across the board at LA Galaxy. It's been cool, and he's a huge part of that.
Yeah, national treasure. I'm glad we get to have him on, talk to him a little bit. So Joe has been on the podcast before. It's been a while, though. Absolutely, it's been a while. But I usually see him almost every game day. He usually walks around the press box and says hi to everybody. And
always looks dashing.
Always. The man is professional to a T. Always glad we're having him. So that's we're gonna have Joe Tutino coming on here in just a little bit, and if we keep talking about him, we'll just lead right into that. That's we don't want to do that.
Stop now.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit. The Galaxy's still offering. There's a bunch of different deals. I think somebody said there's 5 or 6 different ticket deals right now to get to the home opener. Read into that what you will, but lots of different ticket deals do. 1 ticket plus 1 beer. I know in the Discord, there was one season ticket member who was like, hey, with the amount of money I spend on season tickets, I could have X number of beers, X number of tickets, and all this stuff. And it was a large number on each of those. So the Galaxy trying to pack this stadium, and I expect that there's still going to be large gaps in that because of the supporters groups, and a lot of those tickets are already sold. The Galaxy also have this countdown to kickoff, right? That's been going on. You had Eric Zavaleta at Nikki Sports on Monday. We talked about that on Monday. There was the Twitch stream with the MLS guys and Dejan Joveljic. I actually thought that I saw Jalen Neal on there. Was actually on the Twitch stream as well, which is always good. We're going to get Jalen on the show ASAP. That's going to be high on priority list here as we get into the next week. And then, of course, on Wednesday, they basically went through and said there's a 23% off one item at the LA Galaxy team store. That did not include the brand new jerseys, by the way. Just letting you know, no 23% off the brand new jerseys. 23% off everything else. And then tonight, as we're recording, actually it ended just a little bit, but 5:30 to 7 p.m. happy hour with Juninho, with Marcelo Sarvis, and with Rafa Garcia at Absolution Brewery. And then Friday, special deals at Bar Partners and Partner. It says Bar Partners and Partner locations. So there's other places where there's going to be special deals where they've sort of made this concerted effort to get out in the community and have you visit these places. Now, I will say it's been. I don't think it's been widely publicized. Yeah, it's super busy. There is an event on Sunday as well, but I don't know if everybody. If you could, there's a coffee event with Mark Delgado. Mark Delgado kind of seems like the coffee guy anyway. Whenever I kind of think he's like, LA Galaxy and Rad Coffee event with Mark Delgado as well from 12 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. So that's the day after the game. I was going to talk about the bar partners. Real, there's been some little difficulties that Galaxy fans have had going to bars that say that they are official watch parties, that you can go there and they're official partners of the LA Galaxy. You can go, and that bar having no idea who they are, not having a place for them to watch and listen to. So there's been some communication errors to start.
How is it being organized through the different fan groups?
No, it's for the most part that's organized through the team. Right. So the team has gone to these partners and said, well, this is what we want to do. If you go and you look at the supporters groups, they usually have, I'll say this, they'll have a solid bar where they're going and everybody will be there almost every time.
Well, they will this season until they get what they want.
Right. And so they know. So you can go to those viewing parties. In fact, if I'm going to suggest you go to a viewing party, I'm going to tell you to go to the supporters groups. I'll tell you why. One, I know people are going to be there, and two, I know they're going to show the game. Right, so those are the you're not going to get like, who are you? And there was a picture on Twitter of somebody who went to a bar that said it was an official partner, and then it didn't happen. Those people were like, we don't know who you are, and we're not turning on the game. So they went to another bar where they could sit at a table and watch the game on their phone. So
was this happening last season too, or is this a new thing? Is this a new issue?
There have over the years, I remember a smattering of these. Overall, I don't know if it's more. Clearly, it's probably pulled into more focus just because of the unrest with supporters groups and everything.
I've never liked watching a game in a bar. Never.
That's very un-English of you, isn't it?
Yes,
isn't like
exceptionally so.
I was going to say that's why you had to move here. You got excommunicated from England because of your soccer watching.
It's
beliefs.
the same with the Super Bowl. I don't like going to Super Bowl parties.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, people that don't care about the game, just want to eat wings and, end up taking the last wing as well. And they just want to watch commercials. I just don't know. I can't enjoy the game in a bar. When I've been in a bar for a game, it's because I've been working and somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I sort of have it's similar to me. I'm usually working or covering the game. And so if you expect me to go to a bar, it's harder for me to do that. And so it's like, hey, I could be there, but then I'm not going to be working the game, and usually I'm working the game. So I've been asked a bunch of times to go to some of the different parties and that type of thing, and it's usually I have to politely decline. Also, if you're around and you want me to go to your birthday party, don't have your birthday party on a day the LA Galaxy play. I just, that goes for everybody in my family.
Please make note, everybody. That's vital information.
Right? I know. I get invited to a lot of birthday parties, I'm sure. It's my mom's birthday today. So
happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. And she, we were going to do it on Saturday night. I'm like, no. Mom, Friday night. Friday night seems like the night that we're going to do this. Friday night seems like a much better night. And so we moved it to Friday night. So everybody, that's when we'll be doing. But that again, I wanted to be clear about that. My mom moved her birthday party to be a not game day, because my mom is a sports fanatic in a lot of ways. So she understood. She's like, oh, of course, I got it.
I think that's really cool. I think like-minded people in your life are fundamentally important. And when it comes to sporting events, if people understand, that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, in the chat room, people are like, hey, but if you go into the bar and you're watching a game and it's all exciting and there's the energy, yes, absolutely. But you are talking to reporters who like to just focus. Like, I don't like it when the press box is too noisy. Like when people are talking in the press box, like, hey, hey, quiet. I'm trying to watch the game. And I'm usually the loud one. So that's usually how that works.
No, I like to really, I don't like them. I like noise and I like excitement, but I don't know. If it's my team especially and I'm watching it, I don't like the bar thing.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's that. You need to be nervous all by yourself. You need to be able to pace and throw pillows and.
There's a reason I can't do wash-alongs. Channel would be completely banned.
Yeah, it would. The camera would be sideways and no.
Today would have been bad.
I'm sure it would have been. LA Galaxy 2 and MLS Next Pro. Now remember, this is the first time LA Galaxy 2 is in MLS Next Pro. We've told you that we think there's probably a lot of downsides to MLS Next Pro, just in terms of the level of competition, in terms of not sort of being linked to the general flow of players in and out of USL. So this is the first sort of beginning of the LA Galaxy 2's journey into this, and they wanted to go out. So they announced the schedule. They announced opening weekend. The LA Galaxy will be at San Jose Earthquakes. And remember, it's LA Galaxy 2, but all of these are MLS Next Pro teams, so they didn't necessarily take the two like they did in USL to differentiate them, because they are technically still part of the mother organization, just like LA Galaxy 2 is. But so it'll be LA Galaxy 2 versus the San Jose Earthquakes, but it's the San Jose Earthquakes MLS Next Pro team. Some of them have like Union 2, some of them St. Louis City 2, Atlanta 2, like you can sort of see FC Cincinnati 2, that type of thing. That sort of differentiates, and some of them are just like, no, it's the same. I mean, we're good. We're good. We're just going to call it the same name. We're fine. So
are
anyway,
you looking forward to MLS Next Pro?
Absolutely not. I have almost zero excitement for it. I think that the level of competition will be very low, and I don't know how that helps the LA Galaxy. People, by the way, were sort of talking about, the Galaxy should have partnered with a USL team, in order to loan guys out. And they can do that. In fact, Greg Vanney talked about that there will be a conscious decision, sort of, Sophie, to go, we want you to go to USL because we need you to get this level of games as you prepare to come back to the senior team, or if we're trying to get you ready for the senior team, we need you at that level. Whereas if you have a younger player is probably destined to LA Galaxy 2 and MLS Next Pro. There's going to be a fit for every sort of player and where they go. And if the Galaxy need to put somebody in USL 2, Vanny's already said that they will do that. So that's sort of, USL is there. It's still there. It's still around. The Galaxy will use it as they see fit. Remember, Marcus Ferkranus went to Phoenix Rising last year instead of staying with LA Galaxy 2, which was in USL Championship at the time. So there's some different things. So yeah, I'm not that excited about it.
Yeah, I like I like USL. I mean, I enjoy going to Orange County Soccer Club matches. A friend of mine, I was very proud of him. He's the coach of Ventura County Fusion and won USL 2 championship. Mike did a great job over there, with his lads. And so I'm curious to see where the level is, and I'm wondering if, this is, and I'm not suggesting by any stretch this is something that is imminent to everyone, but maybe down the line this is laying the foundation for promotion and relegation in the game here in the US, in order for it at some point to go or kick into another gear and be able to attract more global superstars or players. The financial landscape of it may have to change in years to come, and maybe it's the groundwork for it. Yeah.
I will say, I think USL is going to run into the same problem, because we're starting to see franchises being sold for or being valued at a lot of money, right? Like it used to be
at LAFC.
Well, yeah, I mean, but let's go down to the USL levels. I think there was some that are now like worth $20 or $50 million, or the buy-in for an expansion is 25 or 30 or $40 million. That's not small money anymore.
Well, because they know there's a route to the majors.
Well, and it's sort of, but I think USL is going to run in that same thing, which is people are going to buy in for these franchises. They're going to want to be at that level, and then they're not going to want to take the risk, just like MLS does, of having like promotion relegation, right? Because now they've invested all this money, they've done all this thing. They're like, I bought a USL championship team. I don't, especially in USL, like
Well, also that's the truth is, because, look at St. Louis right now. Let's say there's promotion and relegation in 5 years, and they've bought into the league for $500 million. I get that. I get that part. Right. I mean, there's going to something will have to be figured out, but there has to be more jeopardy in the game, I think, in order for it to grow to a different level. If they care about a new audience, if they don't, and they're happy to be who they are, then it's just another route to make money for clubs, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yes. Absolutely. If we look at the conference alignment for MLS Next Pro, the LA Galaxy 2 are in the Western Conference and the Pacific Division. Okay, Pacific Division is LAFC, LA Galaxy 2, Real Monarchs, which is, of course, Real Salt Lake's MLS Next Pro team. You have the San Jose Earthquakes, Timbers 2. I don't remember what that one is, and the Vancouver Whitecaps. Is that Seattle? Is that like I can't even see some of these crests that they sort of put in here. So anyway, so that is your Pacific Division there. I should have looked at it a little sooner. I thought I knew all of them right off the top of my head, and for some reason I do not notice that one at all. But anyway, I think it's Seattle. So that's your Pacific Division. I mean, a really tough Pacific Division in terms of what those MLS teams usually are. We'll see what MLS Next Pro is. We'll see if that sort of carries away. I would say there are a lot of rivalry games here, and they highlight just two matchups for 3 times, the LA and New York rivalries. So LA Galaxy 2 versus LAFC, Thursday, June 15th. They do it again Saturday, August 12th, and then again Saturday, September 9th. Then New York City is Sunday, May 14th, Sunday, June 11th, Sunday, July 9th. So Red Bulls in New York City there. Here is the interesting thing that we did not know, and that has now been cleared and made apparent to us. 1, LA Galaxy 2 will play at the track and field stadium, like they have in the past, but they haven't been. They've been playing in the main stadium. I think that was because of USL regulations. They needed to be in a stadium X large in order to be considered USL championship. So they moved back to the track and field stadium, which is whatever it is. It's fine. Tickets, Sophie, and there will be. I guess there won't be tickets, but there is public admission is absolutely free. There is no charge to go watch LA Galaxy 2. You can walk right in anytime you want.
That's amazing.
Standard security procedures, clear bags, all that stuff. You're still going to have to walk through a metal detector, that type of thing. But it is free to go to LA Galaxy 2 games at the track and field stadium. So you were asking me if I was excited about it. No, I'm not. Knowing that there is free entrance, I always get it free, but knowing there's free entrance for people and that there might be somebody there, that may build a little bit more of interest in that game. So again, track and field stadium, a lot of those games coming up rather rapidly.
I'm going to check out a game because LAFC are playing their games at Cal State Fullerton.
Right.
So I'll go to the LA Galaxy games when I'll be curious. I'm going to check it out.
By the way, Peppa has corrected me. It's the Tacoma Defiance there, because of course it is. You can't read their logo and nobody knows what it is, but that's
I was going to tell you, and I would have lied, and I would never have known it was Tacoma.
Can I tell you some weird things about this league? The new expanded playoff format. So 7 clubs in each conference will qualify. 3 rounds followed by the MLS Next Pro Cup. Pick your opponent in the first 2 rounds. So the top seed gets to pick their opponent in the first 2 rounds, and then the next person gets to pick their opponent in the next. Like, they get to pick. So if you are one of the top seeds, you get to pick who you play.
What is this desperate move to make these rules up to get people to watch?
Do you want to hear the other rule that they have made up? This is a good one. It is you will have, if you're being substituted, the player who is being substituted will get 10 seconds basically to get off the field. Okay, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. There's some time. We'll have 10 seconds to get off the field. If that player does not exit the field within 10 seconds, then the person who is coming in for him is not allowed to go in for 60 seconds. So you basically will play a man down for a minute if you don't get off the field in time. They're saying this will eliminate time wasting with subs. That's what they're going for.
Is this some type of computer game?
I mean, it could be, but even in my FIFA game, they don't have those rules, so I'm not sure.
Listen, Josh, I'm all for time wasting. You've seen what's happening in the game. You know, I agree. I think that it's ridiculous how teams waste time and all that jazz, even with substitutions. But changing the rules to suit, why can't things just be? Why do we have to change everything? I like change. I don't mind change.
It's MLS Next Pro. It is the Mickey Mousest of Mickey Mousest things. Like, it is not. I can't take it seriously, and until they prove me wrong, I won't take it seriously. Because they basically left a very competitive league in order to be in a protectionist league created for MLS, because MLS
which
was
is
worried
why
about
I'm
the pipeline.
telling you, there's a bigger, grander plan, down the line somewhere. But perhaps I'm a bit too I don't know. I don't know. I'm a bit enthusiastic about it because I want to see how it does.
I understand.
This is a great opportunity at grassroots level, isn't it, to get people involved?
Yes, it is. Sunday, April 2nd, by the way, is the first LA Galaxy 2 game against North Texas SC, Dignity Health Sports Park Track and Field Stadium. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff time on Sunday, April 2nd. There's another home game Sunday, April 9th. So a week later, Minnesota United FC 2. Dignity Health Sports Park Track and Field Stadium. So that is your MLS Next Pro, and that is what we're expecting from the season. Let's see how it goes. Again, the only positive I can really pull out of this so far, Soph, is that they're not charging anybody to get into these games. That's the biggest thing that I can see. I don't know if that's across the league, But for the LA Galaxy, that is the case. And quite honestly, to see a game at LA Galaxy too, it would be tough to pay for that game.
In a time where life is very expensive and families are struggling and cost of living has escalated and entertainment is still expensive, you go to a movie, right? You go to watch a film. It's £100, dollars easy for a family of 4. Like just to get in the theater and get your sweets and all that type of stuff. So I like that. I think it's important. And this is how sometimes things grow. Josh, a little bit,
right?
In times of recession or times of struggle, there's growth, and some sports do see those spurts. So I say if families can benefit from it, I dig it. I support that.
I forgot one of the rules that's staying in as well as there are no ties in MLS Next Pro, so it goes directly to penalty kicks. It's no extra time, just directly to penalty kicks. That's it.
See, people who probably aren't everyday football fans will probably go to this and like those rules because it will keep it's for them. It's not for you and me. Maybe
that's how you embrace people who maybe, but I don't know how you're going to convince anybody except for the fact, hey, you want to go to a free soccer game? It's almost professional. I mean, technically it's professional. The guys are getting paid. It's almost professional. But anyway, that's
a little harsh.
It feels like an academy team. It feels like a reserve league. Doesn't feel like it is going to be a competitive test, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be a place that's going to nature or nurture these young talents in playing in a professional atmosphere. That's just that's me.
I bet it has a huge viral moment in the first week. Everyone gets super excited, and then
then nobody knows it even exists after that. I don't know. We'll talk about it here. We'll talk about it as it suits the show. We will find different ways to sort of talk about different things. So that's fine with me. Wanted to mention Lucas Caligari. Lucas Caligari is in, and Tom Bogert tweeted it out this morning. I think he knew something that Greg Vanney already knew. But Lucas Caligari in the stadium, out at training, was out training today. Officially had a press conference. Guess who was his translator? So obvious from Brazil, speaks Portuguese. Guess who was his translator? Think of LA Galaxy Brazilian players who are still coaches with the LA Galaxy. Think about Juninho.
Juninho.
Yes, that's good guess. Good guess. I don't know how you did. Absolutely.
I was gonna hope that Anyway, go on.
It was Douglas Costa. Who was out there
he
being
actually
the
did something.
No,
this season.
No, it was Junie. So Junie was out there being the translator. It was funny because at the translator etiquette sort of says that you whenever you're answering for the player, so you translate it, you say I, like as if you're the player, right? And Juninho wasn't doing that, and I was like, man, who's this translator? Because I wasn't watching, I was just listening, and then I went and watched. I'm like, oh, it's Juninho. It's allowed. We're good.
That's awesome.
So anyway, Juninho was out there translating. They had Caligari out at training. Greg Vanney talked about Caligari a little bit, so it was good. He is there. He is available for selection. That's one of the things I wanted to say. He is going to be available for selection, so expect very, very soon that you will see Lucas Caligari. Greg Vanney sort of pulled back a little bit, Soph, in saying that he for sure was going to be playing. He said, I don't know if, a training and a half is enough for him to sort of be that guy, right? And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. But he said he would be available for selection, so that doesn't mean that he doesn't make, a later game appearance, perhaps. But Greg was gushing, as you would imagine, just sort of over new players, as you would, as any coach does. You're going to talk them up. You're going to give them all the confidence. You're going to say all the nice things. So that way, eventually you can take credit for the wonderful signing that they are. Galaxy making some interesting signings for me, Soph. I mean, I think Caligari is a good signing. I think that the Galaxy have sort of done a good job in trying to, go different places and do different things in order to land these new players. So we'll talk about all that here in a second. I want you to hold. Because we are joined now by the voice of the LA Galaxy, Mr. Joe Tutino. Joe, did I do a good job bringing you to the show?
Oh, you did very well.
Awesome.
How you guys doing?
We are doing excellent. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. Looking forward to the game on Saturday. Finally a home game.
it feels like it's been, well, I know how long it's been. It's been since October 15th, the last time the LA Galaxy actually played at Dignity Health Sports Park. So it seems like a long time. This preseason seemed longer, Joe, and now the wait to the home opener seems longer. And with all the Apple TV stuff and all the stuff that's sort of going on, has it been a long wait for you as well?
Yeah, it's been a long off season, really long off season. I mean, the World Cup was great, but right after the World Cup, everything seemed to stop and all of a sudden stretch out once again. And I expected everything to roll much more quickly, and it didn't happen. So, but we're here and we're underway, and looking for a home win.
Yeah, it's something I want to point out, and one of the reasons we wanted to have Joe on tonight is that, as I have mentioned many times on Twitter, on the Discord, and anywhere else that people will listen to, a lot of times on this podcast as well, for the home games, Joe, you are an alternate audio option. So if you are watching on your phone in the stadium, or if you're not able to make it to the game, they're able to go into the Apple TV and pick the alternate audio for the home team, which will be the LA Galaxy, and they'll get you. Whenever the Apple TV deal was sort of announced, I know there was a lot of sort of uncertainty about how it would all play out. What do you think of how it's working so far?
The first one I was on, the only one I was on, was that second preseason game we had at Dignity Health Sports Park, and I understand it worked out well. So in that regard, I think from what I do, everything's going to be seamless, and it's all going to be on the back end, on the Apple end, on the production side of things, for them to be able to link it all together to the app, which shouldn't be too difficult. And on the pull down, I guess there's a pull down that you can go down and select home team broadcast and go from there.
Yeah, I did it on that on the practice game that you guys did on that preseason game while
Right.
we were in the press box. I was able to pull it down. I got you, and then I've heard from listeners that they were able to get you. And I think there was even some tweaks to the audio that happened during that game that made you sound a lot better. So I'm glad you guys got that practice game in there. Is there hopes, at least from your side, Joe, that eventually they'll be able to get the away audio on there as well?
I hope so. I mean, I think it's just a matter of bringing the broadcasters out to the site, and from there you just connect to the TV truck. I'm just putting in my broadcaster hat on right now.
Right.
So things that I've done in building stations in the past. So that it should be an easy task. But that's the question of whether the teams want to bring the broadcasters out, the league wants to do it, they find value in it, and so forth. Nonetheless, I'm still doing the away games, whether it's on the Apple app or not.
Right.
And so if you do want to listen to all LA Galaxy broadcasts, home and away, you still have that option.
Yeah, because you guys can do that on the YouTube stream there as
Channel,
well, right?
yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Right.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So go ahead. I know. You
Yeah,
have a question
I'm
for Joe.
chomping at the bit here to ask a question because Joe's such a great storyteller, and I love you guys talking about the technology component and how fans are still able to listen to Joe. One of the things I think that's important for me, Joe, who's a newbie compared to fans like Josh, who have supported LA Galaxy their whole lives, is the storytelling part. And one of the things that fans want to make sure is that those local broadcasters still have a role to play in the storytelling, and having you still call these games is really important to the fans. What are your thoughts on that part, the heart, the soul, kind of the Vin Scully-esque moments?
No. Everything was great up until you brought up Vince Scully, and I should not be brought up in the same sentence as Vince Scully. That's all there's to it. But thank you. That's very kind of you. And it's very kind of anybody who brings that up to me. So I do appreciate it. I just don't feel I'm there. I think the thing about it with Major League Soccer and soccer in this country, there is a connection between its fans, the team's fans, and the team's broadcasters, because we've all been trying to build this sport, build the club, make sure everything's successful. So we all do a little bit more to try to get to where we need to go. And so I think that's somewhat the love affair, that we're all in this together. We're all part of this family. I try not to home. I try to be objective. I think I am for most of the broadcast, but I think that's what works really well. We've lived and died with the club. Thankfully for me, I've been at the top with the Galaxy 5 times and 8 times in the finals. So you'd have to, also deal with some losses there. And so that's kind of how I look at it. I think I think there's that real connection there, that it is a family, that we are growing together and we are going the same places together and all part of this. And I really love being able to interact with the fans. I love getting to the stadium at a certain time so I can set up ahead of time so I can walk out and go out to the north end and walk through the tailgates and say hello and thank people for coming on board and so forth. And even on the way home, when I leave the stadium, I ask for a certain parking location to where I can still walk through and interact with the fans as they're making their way out. So it's just part of the connection. It's part of the fabric of the club for me. And I feel like if I have a connection with the fans and I have a connection with the players, that we're all kind of moving together through this ecosystem.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joe, Sophie and I were talking, I don't know if it was before the show or right into the beginning of the show, but it's like we get to see you almost every game day because not only do you get to walk through and see the fans, but you usually come by and check on all the reporters as well. So you usually say hi to us, right?
Right. Yeah, it's part of what you do. You walk upstairs and you go through the press box and say hello to everybody, see what they're doing, what you guys might be talking about, just get a feel, a flavor for what everybody's thinking going into the game. I mean, I've always said this. I like the game day to come to me, and that's why I like to get to the stadium early. Everything from putting down the lines, from the goals going up, if I'm there early enough to see all that, that's all part of it for me, right, getting ready for a game. And so even interacting with you guys before a game, sometimes there's a life moment that you guys will have, and I get a chance to share in it.
Yep, and you're always there. Joe, you've always been there, though, with the LA Galaxy. I mean, we're going back to the very beginning. I know it's so cliche, especially for people who have been, I've been covering the league now this is my 15th season, but I think you have me beat there almost by double. It's so cliche to sort of look back at where this league has been and where it's going. It's a crazy journey whenever you realize that in a blink of an eye, this league has sort of sustained itself and built itself into something. Do you sort of have the same aspect of looking back and saying that whenever you start to plant that flag at the beginning of that very first season in '96, and now here you are, home opener in 2023, is it a long journey? Is it a quick journey? Did it feel like everything moved the way you expected it to?
No, I think it's been, you look at a freeway interchange, maybe along the 405, and you see all the twists and turns of the bridges and all over the place. That's the journey that I think we've been on. Some have gone up, some have gone left, right, down. There was a time from day one of the league with my colleagues in sports radio and so forth, and my talk show hosts who worked for me. The league was on a clock. And those guys, the old guys that were talking baseball, basketball, and football, American football only, and ruffle their nose at hockey and everything else, they were waiting for the league to collapse. 3 years, 5 years, whatever. They won't make 10 years. So everybody was waiting for this league to collapse, those that were outside the bubble. Those of us that were inside the bubble, like I said earlier, we were working to make the sport successful,
right?
And do our best and do everything on a shoestring if we had to do it, and we did, and bubblegum wrappers and whatever else we had to do to get it done, and we did do that. There was one game in Mile High Stadium in Denver where PR went to Radio Shack when Radio Shack was still alive and bought a 100-foot phone cord because nothing worked at Mile High Stadium in Denver, and we had to run a 100-foot phone cord in order to find the jack that did work for us to be able to broadcast the game on what was back then ISDN technology, which was broadcast quality back then. So that's the early days. So when we hit 2001 and there was the contraction of the league, those same voices that were chirping in the background waiting for the league to collapse came right to the forefront. And we're saying, see, I told you so. And so for the league to survive and get through all that, and the Galaxy to win their first championship, and then the opening of what was Home Depot Center, that flipped everything back to it shut up the chirpers. The peanut gallery started to shut up, and then David Beckham and everything else that went on. And then the league got its sure footing from there. And where we are light years away from those days. And I'm happy to be able to say I was there and be able to tell that story. But I think today we are in a much different place today. We are where, I don't know, I'm not sure how much the audience is old enough to remember this. We are where the NFL was in the early 1970s when it was about to overtake Major League Baseball as the number one sport in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think soccer is about to do that, but in terms of success as a business, I think that's where we are.
Very, very interesting. Sophie, one last question for Joe. Go ahead.
Okay, one last question, and we'll make it quick fire, but it just came to me because I'm thinking, what does his crystal football say about the LA Galaxy this season? And I want you to look at it very quickly as a SWOT analysis. So strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. What's the biggest strength, the opportunity, the weakness, and the threat in a nutshell?
The strength is the two guys in the middle, Fuge and Brugman. That's the strength of the Galaxy right now. Its weakness is its wingers at the moment. I think those are going to get better. And I think, what was the last one? I'm sorry.
There's the opportunity, and then the last one is the threat.
I think the opportunity is the players that are coming on in and how they're going to impact this team going forward. And the threat for the Galaxy, I think, is injury. And that's for any team.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Joe is
and I think they're going through it right now. We're seeing it right now.
Yeah, I was going to say start the season that way. Joe will be on the call. 7:30 p.m. is your start time for the game. LA Galaxy versus Vancouver Whitecaps at Dignity Health Sports Park on MLS Season Pass. This game is on the free section of MLS Season Pass this time. So anybody can tune in to watch this one. So make sure you tune in there. Joe, as always, we appreciate you stopping by, buddy, and I'm sure we will see you out at the stadium on game day.
Thank you for having me. See you Saturday night, everybody.
All right, there he goes.
See you, legend.
There he goes. Mr. Joe Tutino, absolute legend. Absolute legend. The guy's great. And here's the thing. I could do like a 3-hour show with Joe. Like, you know.
You should do, on our chat, we've got a show called A Trip Down Memory Lane, right? And they love it. They love the nostalgia. When you can look back and you support a team that has won. And I tell you something, especially when the days are a little dark,
right?
Looking back on those memories are really warm and fuzzy.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad at all. Let me get to some of these. Alex gave us a $2 super chat, says Joe is the only option for home games. I agree 100%. You can listen to Joe. He's right there, just within reach. Sometimes you may even find me putting it on my phone, putting my headphones in so I can listen to Joe whenever I'm watching the game from the stadium. Roger gave us a $1 super chat with a little 100% on that, liking us talking to Joe Tutino. And then Sugar Daddy Herb stopped by for a little $27.93 super chat. Hi, Josh. Hope the baby is doing well and having fun with the Hot Wheels. Hi, Sophie. Viewers, listeners, hit that like button. Big Sugar Daddy Herb in the house as well. He's producer Herb at this point. Basically, he's
like
the one,
that,
right? Yeah, or executive producer.
Executive producer.
Yeah. They always bring the money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's Herb then. That's Herb's all right. We're gonna get him a shirt that says executive producer Herb.
Yeah,
I like that. We're gonna make that happen.
Sounds like one of those old school 70s. Producers, you know,
like big mustache, big mustache
yeah.
and big glasses,
like Robert Evans,
Ooh,
you know,
those
kinds
I love
of,
it. Cool. I love it. LA Galaxy outsider as well, $2 super chat there. So that's where we're at. We appreciate that. We appreciate Joe for stopping by. And the big takeaway here is 100%. That Joe is available for you on home radio. So he's home and he's available for you on away. He'll do them on the YouTube channel and you can try to sync up your TVs. That way it makes it work and you can absolutely do that. So you're never without Joe Tutino. Okay.
This is important.
Now, the other part about that is then Joe will never complain. But I will complain is Apple TV is dropping the ball on this. There has to be a technological way to get Joe in there and able to call the games and have it still link up and do all the things that it's supposed to do. Even if it's manual and you go in there and you sort of fix the delay and you're trying to, and you adjust that, there has to be, I mean, I could think of a bootleg way to do it. Like if I can bootleg it, then they should be able to figure this stuff out. But there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to happen. Joe told you the easiest way, which is put him on a plane and let him go to the away games and then he'll just call it from the booth. Does it?
So, if we all do a whip round, we get Joe on a plane, right?
There you go, right?
We get a couple local guys with some sound. Bob's your uncle.
We're done.
Quid's in.
We're done. Thanks.
Yeah.
See, we solved all the problems. So that's the sort of the thing that I think is sort of still missing and here's the fatal flaw in all of that. And Joe's going to do them on YouTube, right? But the fact that it's not linked with Apple TV is a missed opportunity, in my opinion. This is right up there, by the way, without having 4. Like, you're not allowed to multi-screen Apple TV games. You can't put like 2. Like ESPN would let you do. ESPN would let you do
like in a sports book.
Yeah, kind of, right? Where you can multi-screen. So you could ESPN would let you put 4 in a box, so you could pick which 4 games you want, and you could watch all 4 at the same time. ESPN had that. They did picture-in-picture. You could do 3 at a time. You could you could pick and choose how you wanted to do it. Apple TV doesn't have that option yet. That's a huge miss. The other huge miss is that when do you want to listen to Joe Tutino more than, let's say if you go to every home game because you're a season ticket holder and that's why you listen to this podcast because you're a diehard. So you're at every home game. So if you're at every home game, are you listening to Joe? You're probably not. You're probably just in the stadium doing your whole thing, right?
Or in the bar.
Yeah, or in the bar. So if you want to listen to Joe, the number one time you want to listen to him is away. That's where it's missing for me. It's like away should have been mandatory, where the away team has to travel their radio person if they want that local broadcast sort of thing going for them, right? So that's
hopefully that'll change.
Yeah. We'll see. Alex, by the way, says you can picture-in-picture with Apple TV. I haven't tried it yet, to be honest with you. I've just been watching one game, or I watch MLS 360. So
I haven't been able to. I haven't tried it, so I wouldn't be educated enough to answer that. But I trust Alex.
This game
Do we trust Alex?
Yeah, we can trust Alex. He's in the Discord. We'll allow it.
Sure.
So anyway, so that's it. So Lucas Caligari in. Greg Vanny saying lots of nice things, saying that he can play outside and he can stretch the field sort of on the outside. That's something the Galaxy have been missing. Also, that he can cut inside.
He can say what he wants, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, he says that, but what else? Here's the thing: if I don't talk about what he says, then we don't talk about things on the show,
true.
Right?
As my response, because of recent history, I would say less bigging up, just do the basics, and let's hope he's a rock star, right?
Yep.
I think sometimes they have a little bit of a not guilty. They're a little guilty of playing players up too much.
Right.
Play them up.
Yeah.
Just don't. Not everyone's the best thing since sliced bread when they're signed.
Yeah, and I understand that. Again, they sort of say what he can do, how he can do it. Somebody's asking for injury updates. Let's give you injury updates. Chicharito and Douglas Costa still out. They are expected to be back into training next week. That's both of them are sort of on similar paths and parallel paths.
Big.
So next week, that's whenever they're expected to be back in training. How they fold into the next game, I am not sure yet. We have to sort of see what happens and whether or not they can get back into full training next week and do that. But return to play, that's where they're in. Pretty soon they'll be into full training again. So that's where those guys are. Other than that, Gasper, I think Vanny said was okay. Sega seems to be back because Vanny said everybody's cleared except for Chicha and Douglas. So you're still going to be missing 2 designated players. The only designated player that will be playing will be the one that wasn't a designated player at the start, basically just before the start of the season.
This is a huge game. Huge.
It's a momentum game. It's one of those games where you're like, listen, you haven't played very well in these last 2 games, and now you're playing in front of your fans. There's going to be a protest before the game. There's probably going to be a protest during the game where people are not going to be in their seats, and I would imagine it's going to be noticeable, and the Galaxy are going to want to have pressure. Guaranteed there's pressure from inside in the front office to get to winning, because the longer the Galaxy are losing and not being an exciting team to watch, and through 2 games, Sophie, you could have slept on a futon to watch both of those games. But through 2 games, they've not been exciting and not been enjoyable to watch. And so I'm sure there's pressure on that as well. But, let's just talk about it in terms of playing, Soph. They need to win games.
They have to win this game. They cannot start negatively at home under this type of duress and intensity from their core fan base. This isn't just, people that come and go who watch the LA Galaxy. This is the core fan base, the bread and butter. And they're making a noise and they're not relenting.
No.
And we're going to really find out with this match, and you'll find out game on game on game, the patience that they'll have to see this through. And time will tell, Josh.
Yeah, it's this is like the first we've sort of been saying this is like a chess match, right? And who's going to move? And so there hasn't the first move hasn't started. They haven't tapped the clock.
No,
there's nothing is. But
because it's been on outside turf.
Right. But it starts now. This is it. It starts Saturday, and that's when we find out what this means, how big it is, how small it is. I don't know. I know all the people who are supposedly taking part in it, and I will be there. They're having a protest at 6:30 at Legends Plaza. I'm going to be there to cover. I think Kevin said he was going to be there to cover it, so we'll be there to cover it and get there and do our thing that we're supposed to be doing, which is acknowledging that these things are happening and sort of going that way. All right. Before we get too sidetracked, because we're going to go into Vancouver here very shortly, and I don't want to go long tonight because I'm tired and I got things to do. So what I want to do is make sure we get to this rumor, and then we're going to talk about Vancouver. There was reports today that out of Atlético Mineiro, which is down in Brazil, that club received a $2.5 million bid for striker Ademir. Now, they call him a striker. In this particular case, we're going to call him a winger because that's where he plays, right wing. He's a 28-year-old right winger who has not seen a lot of time recently, okay? And this is going to make people all sorts of nervous whenever you hear he hasn't seen time. We're going to see we're also going to see how his stats have sort of started to tail off a little bit at 28, which is sort of your median, your prime, where you want to see these stats peaking and all these things, where his stats have sort of started to fall off. People are worried about that, okay? I am going to tell you something, and this may be a tall tale when all is said and done. Because I don't know. I have not watched this player play, although I've been sort of following people who have, and there's some people who have some really good insights onto this player. And that is that they say the decline in stats, the decline in playing time, has nothing to do with injuries, which we can't really find any history of injuries on, and it has nothing to do with sort of his falling off. What it does have is a coach who has gone in a much different direction, that doesn't like to use wide players, that plays a more compact game, and doesn't need a player with speed who stretches the field on the outside on that right-hand side. And that's from some fans who that's their team. And there's actually a little bit of unrest with Atlético Mineiro, just in terms of they're looking at their coach saying, no, we used to play beautiful soccer and we used to have all this space to run and we used to do all these things, and now we don't do that. So
has he been a bit of a star there?
He has scored big goals. He has played in games, but he is certainly not that right now. He's been relegated to the bench. He doesn't have a lot of time playing. Here's the thing, and so often we talk about this, is as we're scouting, Sophie, as you're looking around the world, sometimes you're trying to find those undervalued assets, right? You're trying to find the guys who aren't playing sometimes, right? You're trying to find the guys who, yes, that fits our style of play, what we need, what we want. He's the guy, speed, stretching the field, ability to score. And if you go and look at his stats through the last 3 years, he shows these abilities. His defending has actually gotten a little bit better. And a lot of this seems to sort of show that there's a system change more than anything. I'm not going to try to talk you into this guy, but we have some amazing people in the Discord, Soph, and they're able to take these numbers, and they're able to throw them, and they throw them into their little computers, and then boop, 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 boop. I'm sure that's what happens, right? And out comes. And then because somebody's always way smarter than me, will ask one of our amazing guys, and Ramiro has written for the site before and has had a couple articles not too long ago. But they asked Ramiro, hey, I saw that you ran all these numbers. Who do they say they're like in Major League Soccer, right? And so you're looking at a Brazilian club and a Brazilian league, and now how does that fit into Major League Soccer? Because there's a difference in level there. Brazil is actually perennial one of the top, I think, top 10 in leagues around the world. So they're technically a better league. So what happens when you bring this person to Major League Soccer, right? And so the people, they then say, who are they like? Well, Ramiro had a very easy answer for this. He said, in this order, this is who the stats say they're like. Johnny Russell, Darian Asprilla from Portland, Latif Blessing with LAFC. If you're telling me, Soph, that you're getting a discount Johnny Russell, a Brazilian Johnny Russell, I'm in. I'm in. I am
double check.
Right? I'm in. I don't know that that's the case, but if those stats and how they play in Major League Soccer, but this is what a scouting team is supposed to do, right? I mean, they've had a lot of missteps. But trying to find somebody who's underutilized, maybe that they can get for cheaper than they think, Maybe
What kind of deal is this? A gam, tam, or a ham one?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain because I explained it and then people got confused, and so it helped me now hopefully to explain this better. The $2.5 million transfer fee, if that is correct, puts that into a max TAM deal, and I can't see when we do targeted allocation money deals, we have to factor in the cost of the acquisition of the player with the salary. Okay, so those two things together can't go over the 1.650 or whatever it is, right? 1,650,000, blah, blah, blah. In order to make 2.5 million sort of pan out, you have to put it at about 3 years. So it's my guess if they buy him, and this is all sort of up in the air right now, if they buy him, you're looking at a 3-year deal, and his salary is probably going to be around $600,000 to $800,000. And you can plan out that, and that keeps everything under the 1.6 per year, right? So we take the total amount, and then we take salary plus the acquisition fee. We divide it by the number of years of the contract, and that's how we get where they fit in. And it can't be over the maximum $1.65 million. Okay, does that? So he's going to be a max TAM player. And whenever I said that, people were like, "He's going to make $1.6 million." No, he's probably going to make about $600,000 to $700,000. But his contract and the acquisition fee is going to push that over. So his cap hit is going to be about $1.6 million. So
over a period of,
I think 3 years. I think it has to be. Now he's 28, so that takes you into 31. Not horrible, but that's on the edge. I would love to see the math if they try to do it over 2 years, but I think it's too much. I tried doing it and I couldn't really make it work without a really low salary, and I don't think the really low salary.
Is he injury-free type player?
He seems to be. We didn't find any history of injuries, but that doesn't mean he hasn't had any. Transfer market doesn't always provide all that information. Alex Ruiz from the striker, I go to him always. He's really good at scouring things. The last time he was a full-time starter for America in Brazil, he scored 13 goals. So again, that's a couple years ago, but in a different system at a different time. This could be exactly what you're looking for.
Listen,
yeah,
one of these transfers has to be a masterstroke. You can't keep having too many misses or players that take too long to mesh into the team, but more importantly, actually do something, get results, ROI on that investment, right? And sometimes with LA Galaxy, I think they've had to wait too long. Look, fans have been begging for Dejan to get his chance, right?
Right.
And here he is, and it's just not happening.
Not yet. Through two games. He did score a goal. We have to say it just wasn't a very pretty goal, so it doesn't exactly instill confidence. He got no touches in the box in the second game. Yeah, I mean, that type of thing.
That was the goal that Ricky took credit for.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about. I still don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. I still don't know either. But the point is that one of these signings needs to be a gem. They need to have one of those, something to lift not only the team, but to give Vanny an X factor, an option, right? This team needs an injection of something.
Yeah.
Because I saw this video on social media the other day, and I'm like, these guys have just zapped all of my energy. What is going on here?
Right. No, I know.
I mean, the whole football thing. And then I see, especially Efrain Alvarez, I'm like, dude, do you have any energy about you?
He is never. I've never seen him come in energy. Like there's nothing. Anytime he's talked to us, it hasn't been. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And you need something. You need a spark. You need something.
They need a muse. They need someone to come in and mess things up a little bit in a really good way.
This very well could be a good signing. Ademir from Atletico Mineiro starts behind a whole bunch of guys. Again, there's playing time issues. There's a whole bunch of things. To me, this sounds like they cast the net correctly. I'm not saying they're going to get their right guy, okay, but I'm saying that they're looking at the undervalued assets. They're looking at the guys who aren't getting playing time. Ramiro, who I just quoted about, all these things. He goes in and he looks for the same thing in Major League Soccer because we expect that the LA Galaxy are going to have to do something intra-league in the summer. And he's like, who's not playing? Who are the good names who have good stats but aren't starters? And who could you grab? To sort of those are the searches you need to do.
Josh, let me ask you real quick.
Yes.
Currently, is the international ban in effect, or currently in this window, can you not bring European players over?
They can. They can. Right now, they're fine. And technically speaking, because people have even asked this question, if there's a free agent who is an international, I believe, as long as it's not during the summer window, you can sign them and bring them in because the ban is only for the summer window.
So, right. So, for example, right now, if LA Galaxy could go to Tottenham and ask to loan Dele Alli, could they make that happen?
Yes. Well,
depending on what his salary is.
Depending on salary,
Of course.
depending on all that stuff, he'd have to fit. The Galaxy are tight cap-wise, from what we can tell. I think they have enough for Ademir. I think they have. I know they have enough for Julian Aude, which is the left back, right? That we've been talking about, the Argentine left back. I think he's Argentine. I can't remember exactly. Not off the top of my head. So they have enough for that. They got Caligari in. In my mind, Ademir takes over the Sam Grandsir TAM spot, and so that sort of makes sense, and I can make that make sense in my head and cap wise. So yes, but they're kind of hard up against it. This is it. Ademir's the last big move. That's until the summer, where they're probably going to make a move interleague if they're going to make any moves.
Right.
So that's where we're at. Let's get to the game. I want to talk about it, and then I want to get everything out of here. LA Galaxy, Vancouver Whitecaps, 7:30 p.m. Probably about a 7:37, 7:39 kickoff. That's sort of what they've been at March 18th, 2023, Dignity Health Sports Park. It's funny. Vancouver Whitecaps just played on Wednesday night. They played in the game in the CONCACAF Champions League, and if you're scratching your head and wondering how in God's name are the Vancouver Whitecaps in Champions League, it's because they won the Canadian Cup, which still remains the easiest way to get to CONCACAF Champions League. It's not the U.S. Open Cup, folks. It's the Canadian Cup, right? So they were there. They won that game 5-0. So they had an sort of an alternate lineup in this. I think they were 3 or 4-0 up at halftime, so it wasn't a huge stretch for them. I would not imagine that you're sitting there going, "Oh, well, that's a really big advantage for the LA Galaxy." The last time Vancouver played against FC Dallas, or last time Vancouver played in MLS, it was against FC Dallas on Saturday, March 11th. That was a 1-1 draw at home. So Paul Arriola scored the only goal for Vancouver in that game, and he doesn't play for Vancouver. So that's what we like to call the old own goal in there as well. Vancouver has, I think, looked better than the LA Galaxy in the first 2 games. That's not hard to do. But having said that, this is a team that ceded possession to Dallas whenever they were the home team. So I would imagine that as the away team, the LA Galaxy will get the lion's share of the possession. So the Galaxy will get to play the way that they want to play, Sophie, which is always nice to do at home and in front of your fans. I just don't know if that's going to be up-tempo and whether or not that's going to look any better than it has. So
you can look at all the numbers and the stats and all of it. This is a must-win game. This could trigger a really good confidence boost for the team, but it can also trigger a little bit more of a togetherness maybe across the fan base, because ultimately fans want to see their team win, right? And at some point, the football... I said on your show a couple of months ago, I don't want fans missing out on their own experiences because someone has made a mistake, right? This is a game that needs to be won. It's a home opener. You need to start off with confidence boost. Greg Vanney, I think, needs the win. Team needs the win. And you know what? The biggest thing for me is, where do the goals come from right now? Where are they coming from? And how differently, what are his options right now to change what was a rancid performance against
Kansas City? Tyler Boyd is a possibility at starter to be on the wing. That would give the Galaxy more width, and they haven't had any width. That would bump Efrain Alvarez back to the bench, and probably deservedly so right now. Although Memo Rodriguez certainly hasn't done that much on the left side either, but you're going to pick one of those guys if Boyd is going to start to hit the pine. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't change at all, because Boyd is still sort of working back to that give me 70 minutes on the wing sort of stature. So it very well could be exactly the same. Sega Koulibaly is back apparently and ready to go if you wanted to put him in, although I thought Caceres and Jalen Neal were perfectly fine on defense. So I wouldn't change that. I would leave that. There's not much you can do at right back except Lucas Caligari, but I don't think he's going to start. He may come in the second half. If they need him, which they probably will need him, just in terms of trying to stretch the field and being an attacking option and getting some width in there. So there's not a lot yet, But once if you get Ademir in, if you get Iude in, there's changes. Then you get Chicharito back, you get Douglas Costa back. I mean, there's options there for changes to be made. I don't think Greg is going to pull a trigger on a lot of them because I don't think there's a lot to be made right now. And so, the next game, the problem is, so if you have this game home and then you're going away to Portland. Portland's not an easy place to play. It's going to be on turf. So, does Chicharito come back and play?
I saw Portland play against LAFC, and I thought that they were a bit unlucky not to get anything out of that game.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really tough game. This is why I just say, this is a game that the team needs to win.
538 sort of agrees with you, or at least it agrees with you that the LA Galaxy are heavy favorites. They have the LA Galaxy 59% to win this game. Now, usually whenever 538 has anything remotely that large, Sophie, the Galaxy lose. So LA Galaxy 59%.
Very generous, isn't it? Very generous.
23% chance on the draw. I would say that if you are a bettor, that you definitely take Vancouver because that's where the money is. Betting on the LA Galaxy to win that game is sort of, one of those, the line's not going to be in your favor. So it's one of those that you look at and say, okay, the Galaxy have to find a way. But you're right, where the goal is coming from, Brugman, Push, they both have to step up. They haven't had good games. Expecting more from Delgado. Efrain Alvarez, if he plays, can't go dribbling into people. Memo Rodriguez has to try to stretch the field a little bit more. The Galaxy defense it's still a work in progress. And as far as I'm concerned, start the same four that you had against Sporting Kansas City, because I don't think you're going to get anything by changing anything right now until Lucas Caligari can come in and start to take over for Leerdam. So that's where I'm at.
They better not make me start missing Nick DePuy.
Do you know he's out for the rest of the season? He got injured. Yeah, he got injured. He's out.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. And so that's no fun. Not a good way to go out. We'd never like to see that. So lots of things going on. The LA Galaxy say that this game is nearing capacity. Okay.
Really?
There's a lot of tickets sold, Sophie. That doesn't mean that there's going to be a lot of people there. So just tickets distributed, tickets sold, all that stuff. So we'll do the same thing.
How many season ticket holders aren't going to be there?
Well, I mean, if you figure that supporters groups are season ticket holders, then there's a sizable amount.
I would say between the support groups, there's a large chunk of
couple thousand
right there.
2,500, 3,000 maybe. I don't know if it's that big.
I would that the north of the number you said versus south. Yeah, I would say. I mean, wow, it's going to be interesting. It's fascinating. This is an unprecedented moment for the club and for the team, and we're going to see how this is all going to shape up and shake out. But winning will cure everything.
I was going to say predictions for you, please.
I'm going to put some good juju out there. Somehow, some way, they'll score 2 goals. Maybe one will be an own goal. But I'm going to say 2-1 to LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I think that's the line. 2-1 LA Galaxy. It won't be pretty, but it will be a win, and the Galaxy will feel better about themselves afterwards, and hopefully that lifts them as they get Chicharito back, as they get Costa back, as they work in Lucas Caligari, as Iude possibly comes in, as Ademir comes in. Like, we talked about it, there could be 5 or 6 or 7 changes within, like, the first month of the season based on, you're going to play 4 games, and then there's going to be, like, a completely different lineup that shows up. So we haven't seen the real LA Galaxy yet, so that's sort of where we're at. Yeah, you were gonna tell everybody that we have a good luck charm, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna rub Buddha.
We're rubbing Buddha. We're rubbing Buddha's belly.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Winning.
I'm glad we're getting there. All right. I think that about does it. We'll close up shop on that, and we'll be back on a Monday night to get you updated and tell you what this game was, what it wasn't, and possibly who are the people coming in. A winger, maybe not Deborah Winger, but a winger indeed, Mr. Larry Morgan. I promise. We'll let you know. Larry will text me on Monday and ask me about which winger and when he's coming in and all that fun stuff. Larry still pays very close attention to the LA Galaxy. So if anything else, you good?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Thanks to your wonderful audience again for just being so gracious and letting me hang out in the hottest VIP room this side of Southern California. Absolutely. Sophie's amazing. Go follow her at Soccer Diva and Highbury Squad. That's where you're going to find her. If you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerthegalaxy.com where you can find all our shows, all that fun stuff. Like, subscribe, all those things. A big shout out, huge shout out to Mr. Joe Tutino for stopping by. Remember, you can listen to Joe
on that home game alternate radio. Will be on Apple TV, and this game is free. LA Galaxy, Vancouver Whitecaps, 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. We hope to see everybody there. If you're there, if not, hope you get to catch it on TV. For Miss Sophie, the Cannon Nicolaou, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching, too, Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.